Surprise, we're back. You think one pop-up show was going to be enough today, but you've got myself, Tom Ernest, and with me is Big E. Big E, what a crazy day for the Miami Dolphins.
I'll tell you, it was not a good day to be working today, Tom. On a Friday
Oh, no,
afternoon, this news was breaking. It was amazing today.
100%. I was sitting at work myself. The phone got ESPN alert, and I had to go double check. I was like, is this a real account from Adam Schefter tweeting this, filed from ESPN? Because I was already had once by a fake account, and usually I'm pretty diligent about not having that happen. And it was amazing, and it was kind of shocking to see so far out, but I kind of understand why they did it.
I
So
think I think this is going to be one of those things, Tom, where everybody knows where they were when they got this news, because I think it was such big news, right? To learn that you just got 3 number 1 picks over the next 3 years from San Francisco, especially that first breaking news. I was I was tagged on Facebook by someone. Someone said, "Hey, come look at this." And just like you, I saw a picture of Adam Schefter's report, and I kind of had to go research it myself because I didn't believe it. It was so good. And then I saw it and I was like, this is everything that I wanted. I wanted us to trade down. I didn't want us to go number 3. I thought we had such a great opportunity, especially this draft with such great quarterbacks and some other great pieces. I thought this was a great opportunity to trade down. I love it. I love everything they did today.
one of the things that a lot of people haven't really talked about is obviously the timing of it and why the Dolphins did it. I believe the reason that they did it is it's easier to make a trade before you're on the clock at the draft, right? So, yeah, you can pin a couple teams down and try to work a draft day trade, but you only have 10 minutes to do it. And then that puts the Dolphins in panic mode because if they don't get a trade done, now they have to force a pick at 3. So the fact that the 49ers were calling, and they did in fact call the Dolphins, the Falcons, and the Bengals to get into the top 5. Obviously, Atlanta, kind of shocking that Atlanta didn't want to do that, but you want to get as high as you can. And there had to be a call placed to the New York Jets. Had to have had a call to the Jets to see what the Jets thought was about moving out. And the Jets made their decision. They're sticking at 2, which means they are drafting a quarterback, whether that's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance. They're taking a quarterback at 2. So now it opens up the floodgate for the Miami Dolphins, and that trade occurred today, as we talked about, as the Dolphins moved from number 3 overall back to the 49ers' 12th pick and picked up a third-round pick. Now, the graphic is wrong. It's a third-round pick in 2022 for Robert Saleh hiring for the Jets, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick. Ian, your thoughts on the move by the Miami Dolphins?
I am, as I mentioned, I am so excited because I think, this is the opportunity for us to continue to get better. When you think about where we have gone over the last couple of years, Greer was all about trying to acquire picks. That's why he traded Laramie Tunsil in the first place. Got 2 1s and 2 2s with Laramie. Now he continues. This is the gift that keeps on giving, as we like to say, right? Because this one, he now was able to parlay that number 3 pick and get some more, capital, some nice draft capital out of it. When you look at what ended up happening with the Eagles trade, at the end of the day, the Dolphins moved from 3 to 6. They picked up an additional 1, which is usually unheard of for moving down 3 spots. And they got another 3rd-round pick, if I remember correctly, if I've got all of my picks right. But, I mean, it was – and everybody says it was something right out of the book of draft day when you see that many trades. And there are some analysts out there that are just laughing and saying that Greer is a magician and he keeps, making things happen when it comes to the draft. And, Tom, when's the last time you've heard that about the Miami Dolphins when they're drafting?
Never, because really the last time they really made any big moves on draft night, if I recall correctly, was 2013 when they traded all the way up to the third
Let's
pick
not talk
in the
about
draft.
Let's not talk about that one.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really the last time that we see the Dolphins make any kind of big splashes on draft day. We don't want to talk about the Leonte Carew trade. We don't want to talk about any of that nonsense. But this trade has really put the Dolphins in position to really be players, not only on draft night this year, but going into 2022 and 2023, the options are open. So if you thought as fans that we were done rooting for an opposing team to lose to benefit the Miami Dolphins, not so fast. We got 2 more years of this because the 49ers pick in 2022 and 2023 belong to the Miami Dolphins now, and we need the 49ers to stink. So let's hope this continues. This good luck trend continues from the Houston Texans to the San Francisco 49ers, and the Dolphins can capitalize on these picks. But Ian, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, this is going to be a fun couple of years, but I also, there's been some conversation about this, but I think this was a clear-cut sign also that Miami Dolphins are sticking with Tua Tagovailoa, and they are not going to be moving on to Deshaun Watson, which I know a lot of stuff that has been going on with him. A lot of people have questioned the ability to be able to do that, but now it feels like we can certainly say Tua will be our quarterback in 2021. And now is the time for us to all, wish him well, wish him luck, and kind of get behind him and root him on.
Excellent point, Ian. And, that completely slipped my mind. But this trade 100% shows that Tua Tagovailoa is the Dolphins quarterback for now and going into the future. They are going to build around him and see what he can do. And this trade really dictated that move. So we can put to bed Dolphins taking a quarterback at 3. We can put to bed they're taking a quarterback at 6. We can put to bed that Deshaun Watson will not be a Miami Dolphin in 2021 because they are going to be building around Tua Tagovailoa, which I know I know myself, we are huge fans of Tua, and we hope that they do build around him, and this is 100% going to happen. I just saw Mary's comment here, I can keep my Tua jersey. Yes, my jinx. My personal jinx. So if some of you have not heard the podcasts, I have bought jerseys of many of Dolphins players. And if I go on with the list, you will call me the jinx of the team because every jersey I buy, Ian, they end up getting traded. They end up being a bust. They end up getting released, whatever. It just happens.
Okay.
By the way, my last two jersey purchases was an Ndamukong Suh, gone, and Minka Fitzpatrick. So,
jeez.
So there we go.
Don't buy any more jerseys, Tom, please. You know what? Buy a Tom Ernest jersey because you're never going to trade yourself, right? You're never going to get traded.
Maybe I can get a 21 NFL Fan of the Year. That would be awesome.
That would be fun. That would be awesome.
All right. So we got to get into the next part of it. Okay. The next part of this is that the Dolphins were not done, which is surprising after you make a big move like that. You're sitting at 12. They weren't done. They traded back up 5 minutes later to the number 6 pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. Ian, you thought you could go back to work, you go back into your meeting, and now another trade happens involving the Miami Dolphins regarding the Philadelphia Eagles. So this one was a lot more shocking than the first one. What are your thoughts on the trade with Philadelphia?
So my thoughts are that the Dolphins are definitely going to be getting some wide receiver help for Tua. And the reason why I say that, first of all, when they announced that we had traded down to the 12, I'd say a good number of Dolphins fans through social media were a little upset and they were a little concerned because they thought, which of those top wide receivers and Kyle Pitts is going to drop to number 12? Although there have been many mock drafts that I've messed around with where, either Waddle dropped down or even Chase got down to the 12 spot. So I wasn't too concerned. I thought that there would definitely be someone there, but not as big of a choice as we might have. But when I saw that the trade happened for the Dolphins to get to the 6th spot, I thought to myself, they're going to pick whoever they want. They're going to pick what wide receiver they want. If they want Kyle Pitts, he will most likely still be there. So I as that happened, I kind of envisioned Tua sitting on his couch with a big smile on his face because he knows he's going to get a weapon in this draft. And some people think that the number 6 pick could be a defensive player, could be a linebacker or could be an edge rusher. And honestly, we don't know. We won't know until it actually happens. But in my mind, what I would love to see happen now at 6 is for us to get a true weapon at number 6 for Tua to be able to throw to.
Yeah, the big thing. So let's talk about the actual trade real quick before I get my thoughts. So the trade was the Dolphins traded the 12th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for obviously pick 6, number 50, 156 overall. Um, go to the Eagles and the Dolphins. I'm sorry, I got to flip this back. Eagles traded pick 6, pick 156 to Miami. Miami gave up 12, number 123, and a 2022 first round pick, which is the Miami Dolphins draft pick, not the
Okay.
49ers pick.
Which you think that the
So,
Dolphins will be better off because they're farther along in their, with their quarterback, with the rest of their team, right? So we'll see how that works. But I think that's actually going to be the lower of the 2 picks. So the Dolphins may end up winning that situation too.
yeah, and it could be the case, depending on what happens in San Francisco. They had a rough year last year. Jimmy G was hurt. They lost, I mean, countless defensive starters on that team last year. So it wasn't the same 49ers team that was in the Super Bowl the year prior. They say they're going with Jimmy G. They're going to take a quarterback. You don't make a jump from 9 or from 12 to 3 to not take a quarterback. I mean, it
Agreed.
just doesn't make any sense.
Agreed. It doesn't make sense.
With the Eagles, however, that trade was interesting because they need wide receiver help like you wouldn't believe. So the fact that they moved down to 12, they have 3 now first round draft picks in 2022. So I see the long term rebuild. They're kind of mirroring what the Dolphins did in the Laramie Tunsil trade by making this trade down.
Yep.
So now the question is, what do the Dolphins do from here? They move down, they move back up. Where do they go? What do they do? Ian, what is your opinion with what the Miami Dolphins are going to do on night 1 of the draft? So with pick 6 and now with pick 18 still.
I actually, at this point now, I feel they're going to stay put. I feel that they're going to keep their 6. I think they're going to keep their 18. As I mentioned, I think they are going to go after a wide receiver target with their number 6 pick, excuse me. And then number 18. And I know a lot of people want to see Najee Harris picked up at number 18. But one thing, and the thing about Greer and Coach Flores is you have to kind of look at their trends. You have to look at what they have done in the past in their various roles with their various teams. New England never really valued a running back very high. Think about that for a second, right? When did they actually draft a running back in the first round? And that was the most recent one that they had, and his name slips my mind. But the most recent one, I think they got him at pick number 32, but you don't see them picking a running back. So I do not think they're going to take, and it was Sony Michel. Thank you, Finsdy. I do not think they're going to take Najee Harris with a number 18 pick. I think if anything, yeah. And I think it might upset some folks because he is going to be, I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a monster in the NFL, but I see them probably going edge rusher, defense, filling some of those other holes, and then coming in the second round and picking up one of those guys from North Carolina. Or if Travis Etienne happens to fall a little bit, I think you may see him as well be picked up a little bit later. But it's just a hunch that I had. Just like I had a hunch about this draft, about them trading down in the draft. That was honestly a hunch of mine because I said Greer loves to gather picks. He wants to continue this as long as he possibly can, which he did. And now I'm thinking this way too. So I do think they'll get one of the running backs. I just don't think it's going to be Najee in the first round. But I could be wrong. I'm not the GM, right? I'm just trying to go with what the trends are with these guys.
I agree with you, but one thing that I will say, at the way that last year went, especially at the running back position, there was nobody that put the fear of God into a defense from that position. Myles Gaskin, phenomenal year. He missed some games. He still had over 1,000 yards in total offense. Salvan Ahmed, great job, good fill-in guy. It's not going to put a fear into the defense. Najee Harris puts fear into a defense because he can just lumber over people and just, literally jump over someone who's standing tall. He did it in one of the playoff games. So I would absolutely love if they draft him at 18, but I 100% agree with you. Look at the history. Do they draft a guy at 18? So here's my hot take. I actually said this on Twitter today. My hot take is the Dolphins will get their wide receiver or Kyle Pitts, who can be a hybrid, at 6. if they stay there. Pick 18, I'd love to see them go linebacker or edge rusher.
Yep.
A hot take was not that. The hot take is the Dolphins are going to move back into the first round at the tail end of it, moving from pick 35 or 36, I forgot which one it was, back into pick 31 or 32 and drafting the best running back available. Because I've always been a proponent of any player taken in the first round, you have an advantage. It's called the fifth-year option.
Sure.
So you can run a running back into the ground. He's going to turn 26, 27 years old. You can pick up the option, and then you can move on from him that next year, and then you can start over, or you can draft a running back in later rounds and just develop that person. But this quarterback needs a running game, and a guy that can help him is Najee Harris. Travis Etienne, he's very good. I'm a little wary on him because he did shell up against tougher competition, which, could happen rarely with any player.
Also, I don't know if you've seen Najee's thighs. I think they're like bigger than my head. The guy is he's a monster. Like, he is pure muscle, but and he had such success in college. And I keep saying, I think he's going to be very successful in the NFL, but to say that too, there have been some college running backs that have similar frame and similar size that didn't have the success that we expected them to have at the higher level. So, but I think he's definitely going to be a winner. No question.
Yeah. A couple names, that creeped into my head, and we know our head coach loves defense. You got a couple edge rushers that are going to be, Brian Flores is going to want one of those guys regardless. You can grab your skill player, pair him with Will Fuller, who is a great free agent pickup based on the way these contracts are handed out for other wide receivers. Will Fuller on a 1-year prove-it deal, fantastic. But now you're adding Waddle, Chase, Smith, or Pitts at 6. At 18, now you can take best player available. You could take whoever you feel is the best guy on the team. Having more cracks at bat in the draft builds foundation for a team long term. And
so
what they have,
and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go.
No, it's okay. What I was going to say was having that flexibility now in 2022 and 2023. The Dolphins, they're right now playing on house money. They had 10 wins last year. If they can continue the trend of winning football games and having multiple first-round picks, they're going to build a long-term contender. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I use the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator. That's the one that's free that you don't have to pay for.
Yep.
And they've already updated it, by the way, which I'm very impressed with. They've already updated it so that the Dolphins are pick number 6. And the first mock that I'm trying with the new picks, they've got Kyle Pitts available, Jamar Chase available, Jalen Waddle available, and Devontae Smith still available at number 6. And the way that and this actually doesn't sound too far-fetched. Listen to this. Number 1, Trevor, right? Number 2, Zach Wilson, right? It's not too far-fetched. This one's maybe a little questionable, but who knows? San Francisco, Greg Rousseau from Miami. That one's probably not going to happen because, again, I think San Francisco is going to take a quarterback.
You have to take a quarterback.
Yep.
There.
And then Atlanta takes Trey Lance.
Makes sense.
And then the Bengals take Penei Sewell.
Makes sense.
So you've got every wide receiver still available at that point. So like how much smarter could you have been, besides it's insane how this is going to work out for us. Cause we are truly going to be able to pick whoever we want in that position.
The biggest wild card there to me is going to be Atlanta. Atlanta needs a tight end, and Kyle Pitts, obviously for me, I want him to be the pick for the Dolphins, but Atlanta scares me because they do need a tight end. And imagine Kyle Pitts with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. I mean, you talk about finishing your career on a high note. Atlanta would be set up for some success if they do go that route. But Atlanta's a big wild card. The draft starts at 3, but I think Atlanta is a big player here at 4, and depending on what they decide to do, will dictate what the Dolphins do at 6. Right. So if they don't take Trey Lance and they take a skill player like Kyle Pitts, and the Bengals obviously not taking a quarterback, they're going to probably take Penei Sewell.
Could we trade down again?
That's my thought.
Yeah. That's
That's what I thought.
possible.
I
Yeah.
don't think they're done trading down if a quarterback is dangling there for the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. Those
Yes.
are the two teams that, if they do nothing prior to the draft, they're going to want that quarterback. So if, let's say, a Justin Fields is sitting there available, I think he's the better prospect right now than Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a blank slate. I think he's going to go to a team that wants to develop him long term, which is why Atlanta makes sense. But if they pass on him, Carolina, their owner is hungry for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
So he will pay whatever he needs to pay to move up to get it. So even if it's two spots, do the Dolphins pick up their second round pick? Do they pick up another pick in 2022? I wouldn't say it's a first because it's only two spots, but can they grab more picks from the Carolina Panthers? You just got to dangle that carrot, and it all depends on what Atlanta does.
I think it's all going to depend on how everything goes, how it flows throughout the draft. I think that's when those decisions are going to be made at this point.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
Absolutely. So this was just a hectic day with all these trades going down. But, the big picture is now in place, Ian. The Dolphins are picking 6 right now. I say right now because who knows? Chris Greer is known to do whatever he wants to do with these draft picks. And thank you to Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans for their incompetence on trading. And, Larry Tunsil turned into 3 first-round draft picks and a third.
And didn't we get 2 seconds out of him too? Didn't we get 2 seconds? Didn't we get a first and a second for 2 years straight?
No, we got 1 second. The second this year. They got the first round pick last year, which was Austin Jackson. No, they picked. It was. They traded Houston.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. They traded Houston's pick.
I'm losing track. But you know who really gets the credit for all this, right? I posted it today, and I am being kind of a smart ass here. The pipe, that was in that video during draft night. Do you remember that? Do you remember seeing that?
Laramie Tunsil.
Yep. Do you remember
Laramie Tunsil.
Had that never happened, he would have gone in the first 3. Now I feel bad for him because he didn't make the earning that he would have had he been.
Oh, but he's got his money now. He's okay.
Oh yeah, there's no question he's made up for it. But if it wasn't for that video, the Dolphins would never have had the opportunity to draft him, and this would all be something that didn't happen.
I'm a big guy when it comes to conspiracy. Sometimes when you think about it, but over the last 5 years, do you think the Dolphins were behind that video?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to be fast. Yes, I'm going to be fast.
Yeah, you never know. But
the gas mask.
it was just incredible. It was incredible to be able to get him because that was a complete shock because he was projected to go, like you said, in the top 3 of that draft.
Yep.
And that video gets released just before the draft starts, and Laramie Tunsil is eventually, in my opinion, I mean, if Chris Greer is really smart, they release Laramie Tunsil from his contract next year to free up cap space, and he just comes right back to Miami.
That would be perfect, wouldn't it?
It would be poetic justice. I was.
We'll put him on the Ring of Honor too, right? We'll put him on the Ring of Honor when
absolutely.
we get to
I was a proponent too of bringing in Bill O'Brien as like an offensive specialist or something like that for the staff, just because, hey, you know what, you did a good job for us, so we're just going to give you a job here with the team because you already set us up long term. So
now I think here's the thing too, and I'm very careful, right? Because we talk about Chris Greer being the godfather. He really has been able to manipulate the draft and doing a great job. But I think the most important thing out of anything is for us to hit it, right? And get the right players in the spots. And that's probably going to be at least another year this season for us to see it, and next season for us to see the true value of all these picks over the last couple of years, right? I mean, a lot of people are quick to point out Noah Igbinoghene hasn't turned out what we thought he was going to be as a first round player. Not to say that every player is going to be a hit or every player is going to be a miss, but I think that is still the aspect that we need to see. We need to see all these picks turning into a championship caliber team, which I think is going to happen, right? Because obviously I'm always optimistic anyway. But I think that we have a good chance of that happening, especially with Coach Flores as the head coach. So, but before we can make a Mount Rushmore with Chris Greer, right now he's like half chiseled in. The second half is going to be when we're in the playoffs and we're having a home playoff game at Hard Rock, and we're making it to the AFC Championship game. So
One thing I will say, Ian, is that this Dolphins fan base, and I'm going to be sarcastic, this fan base is so patient with rookie players. I tell you, so patient. So, like you mentioned, Noah Igbenogany, he was the youngest player in the NFL last year.
Yep. Yep.
And where were you going to play him when you have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard and Nick
Nowhere to
Needham
play
in
him.
the slot? There's nowhere
Yeah.
to play him. So he
Yeah.
played a lot of special teams. He did okay in spot duty last year. And if people are pointing to the Bills game when Byron Jones went down, he was against Stephon Diggs.
One of the best
Stephon
wide receivers in the league, right? Yeah.
Stephon Diggs would put Christina Yamaguchi on skates. I mean, that's how good he is. Stephon Diggs is a tremendous wide receiver and how good he runs routes. So if you want to blast Noah Igbenogany for that game, by all means. But
Yeah,
Stephon
and by
Diggs
no
does
means
that to
also
everybody.
we're not giving up on him. We're not giving up on him, right? And I
No,
think that's important.
no.
I would love to see him step into a bigger role this coming season to show, yeah, this was a good pick. And then next year, depending on what happens to Xavier and depending on what happens to Byron, will he be ready? He'll be in his third season in the NFL, and maybe that's what he's grooming him for. And I'm gonna use Nick Needham as an example. I gave up
Yep.
on Nick Needham after the preseason. That
Yeah.
first preseason that he played, I said, I can't believe this guy is still going to be playing in the NFL. And Coach Flores and that defensive coaching staff turned him around, where he was one of our top, I'd say 3 to 5 defenders on the on the field, especially as the season progressed. He continued to get better. So I give everybody the chance. I'm not going to be that one.
100%. Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. So, couple other little things we want to talk about real quick, but Mike, our comrade here, is kind of trolling you a little bit. So I'm going to post something up here for you, Ian, and would love to get your thoughts. Oh, not that one. Where'd he go? There it is. Hold on.
I didn't realize that was him. That's so funny. Oh, well, Colin Cowherd, he is an entertainer. Let's be honest. He is an entertainer. He says what he says to get people to watch him, to get people upset, to get clicks on, internet pages. That's what he is paid for. And so I think at this point of his career, he's more of an entertainer than he is an analyst on the television. And so it doesn't bother me that much because he's throwing stuff out there. I think, didn't I see, I saw a video this week that said, where he mentioned Josh Rosen was going to be the best quarterback in the league. And so was Sam Darnold. They were going to change their franchises with those quarterbacks, and so that just tells you he doesn't really know what the heck he's talking about. And I'm okay with that. No. We have a lot of people that do that and they don't know the X's and the O's or anything. So that's how I feel about Colin. He flip-flops more often than I change my socks. That's what I said this morning. I was going to say underwear, but I want people to realize I change my underwear frequently. It's the right thing to do. My socks, depends on the day.
Yeah. So last thing too. So Pro Football Talk, after the trade ended, after the smoke cleared and the Dolphins are back up to 6, they put out an article that stated the Dolphins are still in play for a quarterback at 6. Like, what the hell? Between Florio and Chris Sims' brilliant analysis regarding quarterbacks.
Brilliant.
Just like, Colin Cowherd, they're doing it for clicks because it knows it rises. It gets a rise out of this fan base. It gets a rise out of me in particular. I don't like to be blocked by people, but sometimes you can't help yourself. But it's those little things that are just annoying. And Kay Adams and Dan Orlovsky both clearly said, when did Tua suck? When has he sucked so much that he's not a good quarterback? Just because he was a rookie, and then a lot of people are posting rookie numbers. He had a good rookie season. Was it great? No. But one thing that nobody really talks about, he was laboring at the end of the season because he was not physically prepared to play 9 games with a hip injury. He was not prepared. You see him working in the offseason. You see how hard he's working out. We're going to see a completely different Tua Tagovailoa in 2021. And mark my words, he is going to be a very good player this year, and he is going to do great things for the Miami Dolphins offense now that they're going to give him weapons. That's the important thing, which is why they traded back up to 6. Like you said, Ian, all 4 of those guys could be sitting there, and it's a perfect storm. Then you just take the best guy that can work with this roster.
I think that the majority of people are now saying that you've got to give Tua a chance. You do have that small number that say, forget it. We're going to, they should go draft a quarterback, or, they should still continue to pursue Deshaun Watson. I think you still got to give the kid a chance, like you said, based on the situation that he was in. But here's the other thing that people have to think about. This year, we're going to get a wide receiver. We're probably going to get a running back early on, right? We're going to build that defensive line. We'll probably get a safety, a linebacker. We're going to continue to build the team. In 2022, if Tua was the same Tua that we saw last year, which I don't think is going to happen, but I'm just saying this hypothetically.
Yeah.
If he is that same player, now you have a decision to make. And now you also have some draft capital. But guess what? You don't have to make all wholesale changes on the team, because now you've got a good, a solid wide receiver core. You got this young kid that you're getting this year. Now you've got a solid running back core because you got this young kid from this year. Now your defense is solid because you've got a couple years worth of rookies on there. So now all you need is a quarterback, and that makes a huge difference. And that was always my biggest argument with throw all of your draft picks towards one person, because that doesn't help you for the future. Where what I'm saying is, could we plug and play a quarterback next year or the year after if we need to? Not saying, again, let me repeat myself. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tua is going to be just fine. But if the case is something happens, that's all you have to do.
I agree with you. And don't be surprised. And I know Jacoby Brissett is here on a 1-year deal, but don't be surprised if the Dolphins do take a flyer on a quarterback late in the draft, right?
Yep.
Because you want to continue to develop somebody. If you can develop another quarterback behind your current quarterback, that's all good in case something happens to Tua. If he does get hurt and Jacoby Brissett is not available, or he's off the team, the Dolphins have someone that can come in and play. Not saying that is for sure going to happen, but you still want to have someone to develop long term behind your starting quarterback, because it's a perfect storm can happen. Look at the 49ers. The perfect storm can happen. You lose your quarterback. You go to your backups.
Gone, right? Yeah.
Yep. It's a perfect storm of things that could go wrong. But the Dolphins are setting themselves up. Build the back end of the roster in free agency like they did. Now you focus on best player available, get your skill players, and just continue to build the roster with young talent. Again, Chris Grier is allergic to players over the age of 30. So we are going to see more youth coming through Miami, and Brian Flores developed these guys as he has the first 2 years he's been in Miami. This is a big leap right here, and this trade is showing that the Dolphins are going to push long-term with Tua, with Coach Flores. But if something were to happen and they strike out, start over, right?
Yeah.
So this is a big move. They've shown their hand. They're showing that they're aggressive. We'll see what happens, but that will do it. Ian, do you have anything to wrap up the show?
I just want to say you have a very nice hat. If you want to bend it down, it's the identical one.
Yes,
it's awesome.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yes, we call these the Mike Oliva special.
The Mike Oliva special. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. So thank you all for watching, listening. We appreciate it. And we'll be back with more news as it happens, as all this has come at us out of nowhere. I'm now expecting that we're going to be doing this a lot more with pop-up shows, because a lot of things are happening in the world of the Miami Dolphins. So thank you all again for listening. Fins up.
Fins up, everybody. Good night.